Oh, yeah. Right now, take this podcast, get into your car, drive down to Happy Holler, and come join us for HOLLEROO. It's happening right now as you listen to this, at least if you listen to it on release day Saturday. I will be down there with all my hair getting pulled out. I already pulled some out this morning. It's a whole big mess. Anyway, almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com. Check out what we got going on there on your favorite podcast provider. Hit us up at almostagreement.com. Shout out to our friend who knew that Sam could do math and had to make sure we knew that he knew that Sam could do math. So anyway, Almost Agreement, everybody. We're going to do a show here in just a second.
Hey.
What's new with ya?
Oh, not much.
Okay, cool. How about that Brian Dillingham? That was so much fun last week.
Yeah, it was very fun.
I very much enjoyed having him just because of who he is as well as because of what he knows.
Lots of cool information.
Yeah. Random stuff that, how would you know? Why would anybody know some of these things?
Not unless you're in the know.
If you're in the industry and those pig paths, as he called them.
What was the pig pads one?
He said what we refer to colloquially as pig paths. That's
that's right.
Like the narrow, may or may not have pavement or gravel or whatever roads that sometimes these buses have to get down in the way out in the hollers and whatnot. Speaking of hollers, Happy Holler right now. Get there, do it. I will preface this with we're probably going to run a little bit short. I got a lot of stuff to do tonight and then get up super early to go finish setting up for the event. I think I just screwed up in scheduling. I should have figured out a different way to do today, but I did Scott and Jesse's podcast on their normal times, and I needed to be down there. We're digging ourselves out of some holes, and it's literally just because one of my issues that I know I have as a leader, manager, boss, whatever you want to call it, is
delegation.
I know I delegate stuff, and when people say okay to me, or yes, I take that as you understand it, and then somehow it doesn't get done the way. And so it's either I'm not doing a good job explaining it and they feel like they need to say yes instead of saying, no, I'm not following. Like I don't get any pushback as far as like, if you don't understand, just tell me you don't understand, because I'd rather explain it to you 7 times so that you understand it than explain it to you once, you not understand it, and then do it wrong.
All
right. And so, yeah, a couple different things with some of the parts and pieces that came in today as the event is shaping up. It's just didn't go smoothly, and would have if I was there. I should have been there, and it's my own fault. So the event was going to go off without a hitch. Everybody's going to have a great day. The weather has completely cooperated. A quick shout out to my friend Nick at Central Cinema. He texted me yesterday. He goes, what'd you have to do to get the weather to move how you wanted it? And he sent me a picture of the forecast, because all week they were talking about it was going to rain during the day, or early parts of the day, and around noon on Saturday, and then it was going to move out, be a little hot, or be warm but overcast, but post showers. That has since moved up to like 4 a.m. And so it's going to storm hard at like 4 a.m. And then it's going to be gone and cleared out, and it's going to be a wonderful day tomorrow. It might be a little bit muggy because of all the humidity, but like all the weather's supposed to clear out, and it's supposed to be at worst a partly cloudy, lower 80s day.
And I thought it was supposed to be coming in, but I didn't know when it was supposed to clear up.
It moved up from like when they were like all week. It was like morning, and in the meteorological terms, morning is like 8 to 11, and now it's moved to early morning. So it's going to be like it's supposed to be done. It's supposed to be pretty fierce at like 4:30, but then be done by like 6:37.
Yeah, it was looking pretty nasty earlier. I was getting ready to mow, and I was like, wait, looking at my phone. I'm under like a severe thunderstorm watch. Sky looks dark as shit. And of course, realized I didn't have any gas, so I had to go down to the gas station and get some gas. But got it all mowed, and it never even rained.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Have you ever in your life done a Let me see. Let me find it so I can get say the word correctly because I always say it wrong. What is it called? It's going to drive me crazy. Of course, now that I can't find it. I mean, have you towed a lot of things in your life?
No.
I haven't towed a lot of things in my life either. But I do have a standard hitch it's one of those 3-ball hitches that you rotate to get the right ball size depending on the trailer is.
Right.
Well, I had to go out and buy a new one, and they are called fucking whatever. Come on, there it is. A pintle hook hitch.
It's the name. I've seen ads for some that I guess are supposed to prevent like the kind of like death wobble.
No, that's not.
They almost have like an extra hinge. Have you seen what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they have the sway bars.
Yeah.
The pintle is the trailer is just a ring, and the hitch is a hook with like a top clasp that comes down to keep it from bouncing out. But it's real loose in there, and so it is the most uncomfortable drive I've ever driven with something. Like I don't like towing stuff. I'm uncomfortable towing things. I've towed some trailers. I towed Max's trailer with the side by side on it, which is a decent sized trailer, all the way to Waverly. It was not my favorite. I would rather not have anything hanging off the back. Like I'm uncomfortable when I have my bike rack on the back with my bike on it.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that extra stuff. Like everything's in the vehicle. I'm in control. Things outside the vehicle, stuff happens. But so this thing, like, there's just so much movement where it connects. So when I'm stopping, one of the things, period, but with a trailer especially, you got to be a little bit more foresight. Pay attention to not the car in front of you, but the car that's 2 cars, 3 cars in front of that.
Right.
So you're not trying to ever brake hard. And so trying to brake just a gentle brake, it does this like jerky thing because it's the hook or the ring sliding in the hook space. And so it's the trailer just pushing into the hook space. I don't have the screen up for you. I apologize. Because you can see it. But it's like a lot of the military trailers use this system. Apparently a lot of off-road stuff uses this system. And the reason I'm having to use this system is because it's a generator. And so a lot of the generator rentals, if you're renting a generator, where you're taking a generator if you're renting one? Somewhere there isn't currently power, which often means isn't paved, isn't a level site, all that kind of stuff, because you're going out there that's a lot of what this is for. And so it's this pintle hitch system, and it's very, very uncomfortable to drive with. It's also a very heavy thing on a trailer.
Right.
3,500 pounds. I think my max tow weight's like 5,000.
Also, I think we were picking up stuff out of state that had just kind of one of the smaller U-Haul trailers. And the whole way there, even just empty, but it was kind of doing similar to what you're talking about, to where you're slowing down, that back and forth, or like hitting any kind of bumps. But it was actually, I guess, like the square ball that goes into your hitch itself.
Yeah, that does, right. And right, I've never had a hitch receiver, the square hole in the back of your car.
Right.
I've never had a hitch receiver and a hitch slide that slides into it that's snug.
Yeah.
And
so we stopped at a couple gas stations. I kept finding like random shit. I think I found like a spiral little notepad. And it was like ripping off chunks of like the hard cardboard and like shoving it in there.
Yeah, I need to
think by the time I got there, I got a concrete nail and like hammered a couple of those in there.
I need to get. I've got a lock for that. It's a U-shaped thing with bolts on it, and then there's a plate that goes underneath.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And it pins itself against it, and then you just crank those bolts nice and tight, and it keeps that wobble from happening.
Yeah.
But I don't have time at this point. So anyway, if you ever want to explore the excitement of towing a generator around town,
have at it.
And so okay. So we started a little bit late because I had to run back out there because one of the neighboring businesses gave me a key because we have one of our cooler, our refrigerated trailer is parked outside and we have it plugged in. And so after discussion, it was decided that with this storm coming through, we thought it would be wise to unplug it overnight. I had the key. I had to go get the key back. And on my way back, so this is at 8:00 on Friday night, it was a parking lot on 4D from the Alcoa Highway exit to as far as I could see. So I got off Alcoa Highway, took Kingston Pike all the way in. And it wasn't on my way out I left the house at 7:55. It was not at that time. And then at 8:25 or 8:30 when I was coming back, it was a parking lot. So I'm assuming we had a wreck. I don't know. Didn't get an alert on it.
Accident.
They don't do traffic alerts on non-hours. So I think, so to cover something of value, and then we'll see what happens and how much longer we go after that. I mentioned to you earlier today. So the city county budget week, they've been doing their budget hearings, going through all the different stuff. And the easiest way to explain this is that in planning for the stadium construction project and taking the bond issuance that the city county did as a collective unit with the sports authority, the city and the county had both were planning on allocating about $800,000 a year to cover their portions of the stadium loan payment, the debt service, as they say in the industry, but what you and I would call a mortgage or loan payment. And so the total loan payment's like $4.1 million a year. The first $1 million of that is Randy Boyd paying rent on the building at $1 million a year. And then there's a bunch of tax increment financing, payment in lieu of taxes. There's a bunch of that stuff going on that's paying some of the rest of it. Now, the plan was that all of the little tax games and stuff like that were going to cover the next more or less $2 million. And so the city and the county in total were going to have a little over $1 million to split to pay what was left. And so that was a little unrealistic at the time. I remember when we had Nate Caldwell and a couple of the other, Chris Caldwell, and a couple of the other people in here talking about it when they were trying to stir up the whole, like, going through the process. The original conversation was about $600,000 for the city and county individually. So the city was going to kick in $600,000 a year, which to the city budget's not that much. The county budget, $600,000 a year, and that was going to cover everything else. Everything else was going to cover that the rest of that $4 million. So the city county were going to collectively pay like $1.2 million, and then, the $3-ish million that was left over is going to get paid by all the other stuff. Well, at this point, basically, the city has. I might switch these up, but in the city's budget for the 25-26 fiscal year, they have $1.1 million set aside to pay into the stadium process, and the county has $1 million that they've set aside in their budget to pay. Now,
just for this year, when they initially said they were going to do $600 a piece.
Right. And then the more realistic one as we got to Showtime was more like $750 to $800, and now we're another $200,000, $300,000 over that each. So, and there's reasons for it. Some of it's, none of it's reasonable because it's not what we were promised as voters. But the apartment complex that's on the left field side, the third base side, is not completed, although some of the apartments are open and there are people that are moving in, and so it is generating some of its revenue, but it has not reached its total taxable potential. And that pilot that was on for that doesn't kick in until, I don't know if it doesn't kick in full. I think it kicks in partial. It's kicked in partial currently, but it has not kicked in full because it has not reached its full value because they haven't finished building it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that total sum that Boyd will be paying in taxes for that property to go into this payment is not reached that total sum yet as it had planned to. And then on the first base side, there's a whole condo complex that they're only like 50% through in construction, meaning zero positive tax effect is getting contributed to the cost. And maybe
it can't be taxed at the value as is.
It might be, but it's under construction. I don't think they don't reassess it till it's complete.
Okay,
is my understanding of it. And so, and then the other is there's a circle around the stadium basically that any sales tax collected in that circle goes directly to paying off the loan. Now that one's up in the air. We don't know what that's going to be, but I've seen a number of stories of businesses complaining about the situation that they're in down there, and that this whole stadium thing is not generating an increase in their business like everybody told them it would. And you had said something about there was an interview with a server or something.
Yeah, I can't remember what the venue was, but I think it said they were wait staff or something with one of the restaurants down there, and Seemed like at least maybe their store, maybe their neighbors had anticipated that business would be going up, presumably on game days.
I would think it would. I mean, that would be my, like, if I were down there, I would be like, sweet, this is going to be foot traffic.
Right.
And from all accounts that I've heard, that it has increased foot traffic, but that foot traffic isn't stopping it.
Like, I don't know if the traffic's always going to be, because I guess for some of the games, they shut off at least one of the roads.
Yeah, weekend home games, they do a bunch of stuff with the traffic pattern down there.
Yeah.
They close sections. They turned Jackson into one way, and Ray, is it Ray? What's the other one? The one on the south side that's between Summit Hill and Jackson. So basically, they turn it into a one-way.
Fine, maybe.
Yeah, they turn it into a one-way circle around the stadium. For all the different trolley traffic and taxis and Ubers and stuff like that, they can only go in and out one way.
Yeah, I think that's Vine right there.
Yeah, and so that's its own thing. So it's, but point being is that if the kind of general reporting is true, that there has been no increase in business for the businesses in the neighborhood, there's at least no increase in sales tax revenue in the neighborhood, meaning that there is no extra sales tax revenue going in to help pay this bond off.
Yeah.
So as you predicted,
it's been 2 weeks of games so far, right about.
We've had one home series. We're about to start another. We started another one this week.
Okay.
And then the soccer games.
Yeah, because that one, like, waitstaff, I think that's what they were, but they had mentioned, I guess, from their perception, it seemed like, on game nights that a lot of people, they weren't getting that before or even the after game traffic, foot traffic at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of different things at play there. To be fair, not to play like a lackey for the Boyd family or anything, but I think there is especially that opening series, there's a lot going on. The city was doing a bunch of stuff, like specifically promoting it. They had a bunch of different stuff. They shut down the different streets. They did there was such a whole giant series of stuff happening around it that for people going down to it, it was its own experience. Like it's a different, I think it's a non-standard game. Like I would think even opening day at like Wrigley Field, which is in the middle of a neighborhood. Have you ever been to Wrigley?
No.
It's weird. Like it's just like, it's all brownstone houses. Like they're small houses on small lots and they're like 2 feet from each other, but they're all single family homes. And it's a big neighborhood, and then right in the middle of it's Wrigley Field. It's a really neat experience because you're walking in there. There's no fucking parking, that's for sure. There's no parking. There's no parking garage right off of Wrigley Field. And so like it's this really neat experience because you're walking through a neighborhood, and then all of a sudden there's a stadium there.
I remember when I was working e-commerce, I can't remember the name exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was a famous hockey player for Chicago.
Yeah.
And I was like, looked up the address, and I saw that it was like a block or two away from Wrigley, this nice kind of newer-looking brownstone style
I'm sure
house.
it ain't a cheap neighborhood to live in.
No.
Especially now that they're winning baseball games.
That close to the Wrigley Stadium? I was like, jeez.
I mean, which it's fun or terrible, depending on who you are.
Right.
But anyway, the point being is that, but there are some, like one of the things in Wisconsin, and from my recollection of Wisconsin and Chicago is not that much different, is any intersection. Almost every intersection has a bar and a bank and a church. And so I would bet you on opening day for Cubs games, that bar and that bank, or that bar and a gas station, whatever the other business is on that corner, that is not their best day on opening day because it's such a big event. And then as the season settles down, it starts to game days become better days. I guess my point is I think we need to give it a little time and let people get used to how the traffic patterns are working, what it's like to go to a game, what kind of time you expect to get from wherever you do park to the stadium, or maybe how much time it's going to take for you to get there, get parked, and get to the stadium. I think as people start settling into what the pattern of game days are, I think we'll start seeing some of this to come back, because I don't want to be late because I got all this stuff going on in this big night where it's I know the game starts at 7:30. I know it takes me X number of minutes to get from my house to downtown, get parked, get there. So if I leave my house at 6, I can get down there. I have about 45 minutes till game time. I can pop into Barley's, grab a pizza, and get to the game.
I just had the thought with the parking and the trolleys. Aren't they pretty much like cutting out any kind of foot traffic that's going to be down there?
Yeah, For sure.
All right, and that just dawned on me. I was like, wait, if everyone's taking the trolley kind of to and from the stadium, they're not going to have really anybody.
Right, which again, the follow-up question to that is Market Square business is seeing a pump because those 2 garages that play the trolley game are just outside of Market Square.
Really?
And so is it that people are going down and getting those garages, going to the game, getting the trolley back to their garage, and then going into Market Square for a little bit. So there's, I mean, I don't know. I guess my point is the jury's out. We got to give it a little time before we start making a real assessment of the actual economic impact of this thing. But I also don't blame any business down there for being like, hey, you fucks told us this is going to be awesome. And so far, this ain't awesome.
Yeah. Is there any other further talk of the multi-use outside of soccer and baseball?
I don't know.
At one point, there was talk of like a farmer's market maybe on there.
Right, they're going to do some stuff, and they're obliged. The Boyd Sports is obliged a certain number of dates a year for the city or county to use it at their leisure. So, like, if Knox County wants to do it for, I don't know,
some kind of get together,
right? Some sort of maybe like a Knox County government event where they're all getting all the different offices together for like an employee appreciation day,
right?
And they want to use it for that, or they want to use it for a Knox County public fair or whatever. They're allowed to use it, and it's free. I think I don't think Knox County doesn't have to pay to use it for the day, where you and I would have to pay if we wanted to use it.
Yeah.
And the city gets a couple days. I don't remember exactly how that all breaks down. I think it's like each of them get like 8 a year, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe Knox County do Knox County schools and let Knox County athletics do jamboree, maybe a baseball jamboree, maybe a football jamboree, maybe a soccer jamboree. Do you remember we did that? I remember Bearden did that. UT Nayland
they used to do it at Nayland, yeah.
They used to do it at Nayland, where it was jamboree, and it was like, I don't know, like it was like every Knox County high school kind of showed up, and they did like a bunch of mini scrimmages where they all played against each other for a little bit. Yeah. So like the kids might have gotten one full game out of the day there, but it was like 50 different little events. So maybe they'll do a baseball jamboree and get all the high school baseball teams down there. I could see them doing a soccer jamboree. Like from everything I've heard from people that I know, the soccer games are where it's at, not the baseball games. And I mean, Savannah Bananas might come. No, we're not big.
Still curious how they have like the soccer set up as far as stands and whatnot. Essentially, you kind of got a
it goes
semi-diamond with an ovular end.
It goes down the first baseline. The first baseline is the sideline. I think it's the home. That's the home bench. Or well, no, it's soccer. They both on the same sideline.
Yeah,
but that's that's the first baseline. So all those grandstands are directly there, and then you have at least how wide is the soccer field? How far is it from third base to home?
Don't know.
So that end line has full stadium stuff, and I don't know what I've seen some pictures. It didn't look like they didn't do anything. So like the far sideline didn't have any seating on the sideline. I don't know if they had anybody in the bleachers or not out there in left field though.
But because the time I went was closer to like UT's like water treatment facility,
right? And that's the UT that is the Vols soccer complex, and that it only has one side. That stadium only has the sideline.
That big concrete. I thought there was a smaller one across, but I may be misremembering.
There was a hill and another field past it, and a bunch of kids running around when I was there. And it was just a bunch of at the UT soccer complex, the far sideline had a hill on it, and people went it looked like people picnicking over there. There was just people that threw blankets and sat over there, or they brought their camp chairs and sat over there and watched.
I thought I remember seeing like one small set of bleachers, and there was another soccer field that I think somebody told me that was where like the UT women's soccer played.
Yeah,
or maybe that was like their practice field.
Right, there's two fields next
adjacent
to each other. Yeah. But there's only there's just a little berm between the two.
Yeah,
and. Right, people are set up. So either way, it's bigger than that, and they broke that attendance record. So people are showing up. But from all accounts I've heard, it's a really good time. The soccer games were a really good time.
And apparently, our team's really good right now.
Yeah, we should make it a date. Let's do a show. Let's do a live show from them. I'll make some phone calls. Let's see if we can do a podcast from the press box, not covering the game. Just watch the game and do a podcast while we're watching the game. If I can make it happen,
be a bit distracting.
If I can make it happen, will you do it?
Go down there. I don't know about recording during it.
We'll just come and do the like 30 minutes of the podcast before kickoff while everything's kind of milling about, and then we'll do like another 30 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever halftime is. And that's an hour show. It's good enough.
Okay.
We'll do it during halftime. Well, I mean, if we're going to do it down there, we can bring it. I can bring in some guests and whatnot.
And the press box is going to be loud. We'll be hard pressed to find anywhere that's going to be quiet enough.
Whatever. It's going to be an active. It'll be an active ambiance show for the listeners.
Or we can get what was that Maxwell Smart TV show where you get like the cone of silence, have a big plastic or glass bulb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would bet that it's an option. I bet you they're like. It depends how they have it set up, but I'll bet you it's not super loud in there. I mean, it's a purpose built room. Yes, you want to have some of the stadium noise, but I bet you they do that secondhand anyway. Like I would think they would.
I doubt they're sitting up there in silence.
I don't know. I think they would have it. I think they would have it pretty quiet in there. You're going to hear it. You're going to feel the rumble when people are pounding their feet or whatever. But I think they probably have. I think they probably have windows, and you can open the windows, and it'll be loud. But if you can close the windows, it'll be pretty quiet.
Maybe.
I don't know, because I think, I mean, because again, for the multi-use part of it, other stuff that goes on in there, they would want to make it a usable space for other things.
Not necessarily the press box.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, whatever.
So you would think there's probably at least somebody up there. There's probably some local like radio station that's doing like commentary.
I mean, a friend of mine has a seat in the press box for him, or for his publication.
Yeah.
And so he gets to send whoever he wants, and that's their seat. It's not different. Like it's not that different. Like if you go down to City County Building, those weird little tables that are up front, those are designated for press. Like if you go to a commission meeting, you want to go to a commission meeting and you want to sit at the desk in the front. That's not for you. It's for media. I don't know if it's designated that this is this media outlet and this is that one, but it's set up that way.
Right.
Anyway, all this stadium talk is you're paying more for like I guess the best way to think about it. I don't know the best way to think about it, but if you want to get aggressive and angry about it, for those of us that don't necessarily like the idea that the city and county spend a bunch of our tax money on it, is so what was originally talked as $600 was more reasonable at $800 is now at $1.1 million. That's $300,000 that's getting spent on this stadium that isn't getting spent on something else in the city of Knoxville.
Right.
So if you're a city resident and you are lacking services, and the totality of that lacking services is under $300,000, you can thank Randy Boyd for that.
I will say I was driving around Lakeshore Park again, kind of looking at all the new updated stuff they've done, and I can't say I've ever played it, so I hate to say I'm a hater of it, but I was a little disappointed. There's like 6 pickleball courts up there.
Super popular, man.
I know. I guess I hope that it stays popular enough that that's going to get used and bring people down to the park and using it. I did see like 1 or 2 newer like playgrounds.
Yeah, I haven't been down. I don't know if it's fully open yet. I've been meaning to go down there and check out the weird bowl.
Weird bowl.
Yeah.
So it's got an outdoor amphitheater, which I think I got eyes on. It looked like it was just really small.
There's a very I don't know how to describe it other than it's a bowl. Like so, there used to be a couple of baseball fields over there. So I'm trying to think. So you've got like it's going along the river there, and then you got where the water treatment facility is. On the walking path that does the full loop, it like turns and goes along the water treatment and then turns again. Because then there's the soccer fields. Mm-hmm. And then after the soccer fields, it gets to North Shore Drive. A little bit after the soccer fields. You got the soccer fields.
That's away from North Shore.
No. There were two sets of baseball fields in the old Lakeshore.
Right.
There was one set, like if you went in from the Dean Hill side and went down that hill, that's the good set of baseball fields. And then there was another set of baseball fields that was further back. And then past that big set of baseball fields was some of the soccer fields. Anyway, where that second set of baseball fields was, now it's this weird bowl shape. And so that corner, so you're walking along the river, and then you turn because of the water treatment facility. That corner is now this weird bowl. I don't know how else to say it. They did a ton of groundwork on it, and they built it up, and so there's a path around the top of it that you walk around it, and it's like probably I think it's supposed to be like a full-size soccer field on the bottom, and then it's a hill up the side, and then there's a flat top. And then depending on which direction you're going out of there, it goes on a hill back down, or it goes flat out towards parking lots and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's supposed to be like just a natural stadium in the sense that you just sit on the ground and watch the game if there's a soccer game going on, or whatever is down at the bottom of the field.
We're not putting bleachers in there. Just put a ramped hill.
Yeah. And so I haven't set. Last time I did, I used to be pretty good about doing laps down there, but last time I tried to walk down there, it was not open yet.
It's fully open now.
So I need to.
It looks like they've added a good bit more of like walking trails.
I need to make an occasion to check that out because I have not seen that yet. So yeah, I think that's the most pertinent bit of news this week is that that stadium cost is up. Oh yeah, and Briggs, we got more details on the Briggs thing. I'm sorry, Biggs. Confuse those two. I don't confuse those two people. I just confuse those two names.
So he put out a statement.
He put out a statement. He paid some money back, but he didn't apologize. Which again, you don't want to
never admit
you did anything wrong. Involved because apparently, quite often, if the comptroller bothers getting involved, criminal charges follow.
Right.
And Miss D.A. Allen has already recused herself from any possible upcoming case because her niece works in the trustee's office. And so she feels like there's too much conflict of interest if a case comes along. So the Blount County DA will run that case if we get a case out of it.
I know Biggs did. I want to say even Jacobs put out a statement. But I know Biggs' statement was basically like, I look forward to, releasing more information, but I can't release anything right now because there's a pending investigation.
It's an active investigation. We don't talk about it.
Right.
But I did.
It's like I look forward to, letting you guys know more information whenever I can.
Right. I did sit down with. Essentially, he sat down with Chris Caldwell, and they ballparked it because the investigation isn't open to his knowledge. So what the comptroller's office thinks he misallocated, for lack of a better word, is an unknown number. But him and Chris Caldwell kind of guessed at it, and so he personally paid $3,500 back. But that doesn't unring the bell of the criminal activity if there was criminal activity or whatever. And
right. So, I think in his statement he claimed that things were already like pre-approved,
which doesn't make it. That's not a true statement.
Yeah, I don't know.
He is an elected officer. He is an independently elected office. He doesn't have to ask anybody for approval. There's no chain of command that he is under. Do
the funds just come out of his budget? Some of them are like for trips.
Right.
So I can't remember. I guess there's a name for it, but if they stay at a hotel,
right.
Hey, I'm allotted, $300 or whatever per hotel stay. But I wanted to stay at a nicer one, so there's an agreement that I will pay anything above what I would have been normally reimbursed.
There is some sort of process as far as there is somebody somewhere who you say, I'm going to spend this much money on this particular thing, and they say yes or no, it's within your budget.
Okay.
Now, it's not that they say yes or no that it's within your office's right to do that. It only says yes or no, you have budget for that. Because that person, whatever that title is, that job is not to say, well, that's misusing funds by law. It's just your budget has this much money in it. That is within the totality of what your budget can afford.
Right. Oh, they already fired somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know where he was at in the chain of command.
I'm fascinated. I think I'm about to say Danny McBride. That's not who it is, but whatever McBride, he was the county clerk a while back, I think. He went ahead and started making noise about he's going to run for that seat because I would hope Biggs is pretty easy to beat as this continues. I mean, he's already done. He paid whatever his campaign spent money on Boyd's facility to do his campaign launch party there.
Yeah.
So not only are you going to pay more out of your taxes for that stadium, but if you donated to Biggs's campaign fund, you also spent money on that stadium.
I did see the trial that was going on in Nashville of the former House Speaker and his assistant. They both got convicted guilty today.
Yeah.
Didn't say if it was on all accounts, but it was at least on some of the counts. So I think it was maybe like 19 total.
It's all campaign finance stuff. And
They had like a mailing business that apparently they were steering a lot of other members' kind of business towards them to use their particular company. But I think so. The jury deliberated for like 4 days total. But usually when you're deliberating for that long.
Yeah, that means there's some contention in the opinions of the people. Like, it's not just everybody agrees that it's definitely yay or nay.
Well, I mean, it's not too dissimilar than a local one. They're basically just kind of like, well, we didn't do anything wrong and blah, blah, blah.
I don't know. I mean,
we were just, business owners trying to make some money. But it was the assistant, apparently, that also had like some sketchy stuff. And they were like, they either opened the business or he had like a separate name that the business was under, but it was really him. So it was just kind of like, well, why are you making up a pseudonym for, your business if you're doing this all, above board?
Yeah, because it's easier to not have to answer the questions whether it's legal or not. That'd be my answer. But I mean, you can't say that out loud, obviously.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know.
I mean, because the other thing, like I was talking to, I've talked to a couple people about my concerns with the upcoming Knox County Mayor's race. Is like as of right now, we don't know who the Democrat's going to be. The Democrats will put somebody up in that race. Not really concerned. It doesn't really matter. But at least as of right now, we have Betsy Henderson versus Larson J. And I'm not. I don't know how. I'm still not sure how I feel. Like I like Larson in the sense that I like that Larson knows who I am. Like I've met him a number of times. He's racing in the Derby today. If you want to come see Larson race a Derby car, it's happening right now. Get it. Put your phone down. Get to the race. And he is a very active community guy. Like that's his shtick, and I can appreciate that about him. I don't really know how I feel about him and his politics specifically because I haven't really. There's nothing that's been like contentious enough that I feel like I've agreed or disagreed like wholeheartedly with him on. Where Betsy's got a track record of shit that I don't like. So at least for now, of the two, I would prefer Larson. I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. I'm just saying my preference of the two, if that's all I get to choose from, is Larson.
Yeah.
But my concern is, with the way primaries work, I don't see Larson coming out of the primary hit. Larson has a huge amount of money. But Betsy went and hired Becky Duncan Massey, speaking of family, niece, I believe, to run her campaign. And that's the Duncan family. And the Duncan family is a political powerhouse in East Tennessee and has been for ever. I mean, Jimmy was third generation Duncan that held the House seat too?
Nah, I couldn't say.
At least second. Because it's the Jimmy Duncan Federal Building is not Becky's brother, it's Becky's dad.
Becky's brother involved in politics as well?
Yeah, Jimmy Duncan Jr.
Okay.
Yeah, he held House seat 2 prior to Burchett. And so, that's a dynasty family of politicians out here, and they're a well-connected family, especially in the Republican Party in the state of Tennessee, blah, 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 blah. I find it interesting that Becky is not in the new MAGA set where it seems like Betsy is. And so there's a lot of moving pieces here and overlap. But I only bring all that up to say that, it's not uncommon that family and friends get in on different, capitalize on different opportunities when family and friends are holding seats.
Yeah. Speaking of legacy family, I think I just read that Bill Haslam's coming back to be on UT's Board of Trustees. I'm assuming you got to be local to do it. So I wonder if he would try to go for county mayor. He was already city mayor. Why not go for county?
I don't know. I would think, he was the governor, right? Governor Haslam?
I think so.
Or he was a federal House seat.
Thought he was city mayor.
Yeah, but he's gone beyond that.
Don't think so. Honestly, I can't remember who was governor before Lee.
Bill Haslam, American billionaire businessman. He was served as the 49th governor of Tennessee from 11 to 19.
Yeah, so he was before Lee.
Yeah. I thought he was mayor or governor for a while. He was preceded by Victor Ashe, the annexing mastermind, and then, it was Victor Ashe, Bill Haslam, Ruggiero, and now That lady.
Jacobs.
I just blacked out.
Oh, Kincannon?
Yeah, thank you. God, here's another one. Fucking Randy McNally was his lieutenant governor. He's the current lieutenant governor. Randy McNally has held that seat since at least 2015 or so. 10 years of old Randy McNally and that wonderful mustache. That's your House member, right?
I believe so.
He's like all of Anderson County plus.
He's got to watch his social media.
Oh, wow. Way to spell, buddy. Why are we watching his social media?
You don't remember that story from like a year or two ago? Where it was like some young gentleman in provocative poses that he was doing like heart emojis and...
Oh, yeah. He's not gay. Like, clearly gay. Yeah, Jimmy Duncan, John James Duncan Jr., his dad, John Duncan Sr., was the District 2 U.S. House Rep for Tennessee prior to him. So his dad held the seat, and then he held the seat. And then now Tim Burchett held the seat. He was in office from 81 to 88 as a judge in Knox County. He was in the House from 88 to 19. So he was in the seat for almost 30 years.
Damn.
So anyway, Duncan family's got some deep political ties over here. And so, but again, like, I think it's an interesting thing because the Duncan family is not the new Republican Party. They haven't been. That's just never been their shtick. Becky is certainly not a MAGA Republican.
That's what I was kind of thinking. They seem like not quite the same kind of conservative Republican.
Right. But her niece running the campaign, or goddaughter, I don't remember, whatever. Some relative of Becky running Betsy's campaign, and Betsy is at least positioning herself as the further right candidate against Larson.
Yeah.
And so, like, again, my long story, like, a whole lot of hot air there for the underlying statement here is that of the two candidates, I don't feel out of place saying that Betsy is the further right of the two. I think Larson positions himself as a more centrist Republican, acts as a more centrist Republican. Like, honestly, by what I would argue the pillars of the Republican Party is, Larson's probably got 2 of the 5. You know, he's already positioned himself as we're going to raise taxes in Knox County if I'm mayor, but he's positioned that in a way that we're going to raise taxes whether I'm mayor or not.
Right.
Do you want me to be the one to do it, or do you want that psychopath? He hasn't said it that way. That's
right.
My interpretation.
Because there's different taxes you can raise to do it.
Right, but it's going to have to be no, it's not. Property tax is all that matters. That's the only one that's in conversation. I think we have a 0.25% window in sales tax that we still can add in the local. Which, I mean, fuck it, let's do it. Let's just round it up to 10. What are we waiting on?
Can we do income tax just in the county?
Let's do it. Let's do an import. Let's do an immigration tax. If you want to move to Knox County, you got to pay. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's absolutely against the Constitution of the United States, but fuck it, you know. It's 2025, people. The Constitution's that thing's like 250 years old. Nobody cares no more. Threw that thing out. We threw that thing out with a couple of Mexicans. I mean, actually, they're Venezuelans, but and apparently there's a big roundup that included like some Kyrgyzstanis or something like that in Alabama a couple weeks ago. Some weird Eastern European nation.
Kyrgyzstan, yeah.
Yeah. Something. It was one of the stands over there.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one. But apparently, because one of the things that apparently Customs and Border Patrol in their authorityship. So there was an incident in Nashville where ICE had come to Nashville PD basically and said, "Hey, we want to deport some people, but we don't really have cause to interact. So we're going to hang out while you guys do a bunch of traffic stops, and if any of them don't have paperwork, we're going to take them."
I saw a story on that. I thought they came out of the Metro MNPD, Nashville. I thought they came out with a statement that said they weren't involved in any of the ICE arrests. It was like 190 something that got arrested.
Oh yeah, because they use Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah,
right. Because they couldn't instigate the contact, but they coordinated with somebody who could. But then Customs and Border Patrol, they have a 100-mile radius from the border. And that border includes coastline, which is crazy if you think about it, because like 80% of the U.S. population lives within 100 miles of a quote border.
Yeah.
Like they're like, other than like Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis, like almost every major city in the United States is within 100 miles of the ocean or a border. Like Minneapolis, I don't know, Minneapolis might be further than that from Canada.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's pretty close. Detroit's certainly not. Like, how far is Chicago to Detroit?
Detroit's certainly not what?
Outside 100 miles. Detroit's absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I was about to say, I was like, no, I think it's just a bridge.
Yeah, it's like a 200-yard bridge away from Canada, from Windsor. But I mean, so you take that and then you go 100 miles from Detroit. Does that get to Chicago?
Yeah. I've seen a couple of videos of people getting pulled over
or
somewhere
Erie,
out west.
I guess it would be Lake Erie, technically. Like the western point of Lake Erie, if you drew a 100-mile line straight west from the western point of Lake Erie, does that get to Chicago? It gets pretty damn close.
Possibly.
What's the Ohio? How long is the Ohio-Michigan border?
Couldn't say.
Oh, Indiana's in the way.
Yeah.
It'd still be pretty. Like, I'd still say you get pretty damn close. Maybe not all the way, but anyway. Moral of the story is, but apparently, Customs and Border Patrol was doing something in Louisiana or Mississippi or something like that, and because they can just pull people over. That's within their powers or whatever, and so they were doing a bunch of like random traffic stops and got a bunch of random Eastern Europeans in with a bunch of Mexicans and Hondurans and whatever.
Yeah, I've seen videos of people. I think it was some actual like border patrol, like, checkpoint or whatever, but it was 50, 75 miles inside of America. People were going through it. They're like, "Wait, what are you talking about? This is a border."
Well, I mean, there's some of it
border
like,
checkpoint.
Like some of it's reasonable. Like if you get like Charleston's the best example I can think of. You can get there is a customs inspection point that's like 50 miles northwest of Charleston, South Carolina, which is essentially take your container off the boat, drive up here where there's space for us to go through your container, because in the shipyard, you're in downtown Charleston. There's not a lot of room to have stuff stacked up and customs to go through it. And so there's a bunch of inland checkpoints that are within the 100-mile radius, obviously. And just for logistical purposes, they do that. Because, like, L.A. Long Beach probably got that, too. There's probably a lot of stuff at L.A. Long Beach that doesn't get looked at by customs until it gets a little further in to get out of L.A.
Yeah, maybe more similar to, like, the border crossings down at, like, Laredo and whatnot, to where they're waving people into a further inspection area.
Right. And so some of that's, like, a logical, logistical reasoning for why they do that. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. If you can't catch them within 100 miles of the border... Like, I mean, really, if you can't catch them within, like, 20, what are you doing?
I mean, they've been saying for years that, like, most of the containers that come in, they're unable to, like, search them all just logistically wise.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they ever tried to. I don't think that's ever been the point.
Post 9/11, they had a lot more of, like, the scanners that could scan at least for, I guess, detecting any, like, explosives.
But
and
it's like anything else.
Like X-ray, it could pick up, like, bodies that were inside and whatnot.
It's like your Fast Pass or whatever at the airport, though. Like, it quickly went into this, like, you could prepay and skip it.
Maybe. I don't know.
You have, like, I mean, you have export companies who they literally, it's like, well, here's the manifest of how we loaded it. We paid extra, so you trust us, basically. Like, they do that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So, anyway, how do we get on fucking bus? Anyway, yeah, that was a rando tangent off of, I think we started with Biggs paying some money back. And I don't know. Like, I don't know. The curiosity is, I mean, we got 2 years till this election. By the time we get around to it, I mean, absolutely McBride or whoever's running against him is going to bring it up, but is anybody going to care at that point?
Depending on the fallout of it, or what the investigation turns out.
Well, I mean, the question is like, it's okay. That's definitely a negative on your resume if you're running for the seat. Is there a positive to counteract it? Like, what are you going to tell me on your stump speech that says, I know I got in trouble for this, I fixed it, but here are all the good things I did? You're a fucking trustee, buddy.
There's trust in your name.
Well, that too, but I'm just saying, you're the trustee, buddy. You collected the taxes. Good job. I mean, from a personal perspective, I have a whole subset of issues because I keep getting delinquent tax notifications that aren't mine. And so I give them back to the mailman, and the envelope that the trustee's office used says or current resident or something like that. And I'm trying to tell the mailman, it's like, this isn't mine. He says, but it says or current resident, so he won't take it back. And it's like, what do I do with this? To which I went through the whole process, and I tried to be an upstanding citizen and call him back, hey, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I feel bad throwing it away because this is like an official document or whatever. But at the same time, it doesn't apply to me. It's not my responsibility to find the correct person. The mailman won't take it back.
It's a landlord thing.
It's not. I mean, it's not though. It's not his. Because it's not the tax. The tax notification. This is the mailing address, not the property address in question. The previous owner of the building that we were in has multiple properties around Knox County or the city of Knoxville that he has not paid his taxes on. But his business mailing address for his property management company, for lack of a better word, is our address. It was our address when he still owned the building. He never updated that information with the trustee's office. And they keep they keep mailing me letters saying you owe these taxes. And it's like, I don't owe these taxes. That's not me. That's the prior tenant in this place. My landlord doesn't owe these taxes. He bought this building, not all of his other ones. What am I supposed to do with this? And they've told me to throw it away, and I have, because they told me so. I wish I have had some documentation on them instructing me to throw it away, because it's. I mean, I'm destroying, legal state documents.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know. It feels weird. Like, it feels like I probably shouldn't be doing that, but I don't. What else am I supposed to do with it? They won't take it. Like, I could go down to city county and give it back to them, but the mailman won't take it back. And it's like.
I mean, if you know some of his other properties, just go put it in that mailbox. Is it illegal for you to open a mailbox and put it in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to put non-mail, and you're not allowed to put stuff in a mailbox if you're not certified to carry mail.
What about the paper box? You take some duct tape, tape it to the outside.
As far as I know, he doesn't live at those addresses. Those are just properties he owns.
Right.
But again, it doesn't fucking matter. It's none of my business. Why do I care?
Yeah.
I'm really looking at it saying he only owes like $2,500 in taxes. Can I just pay that $2,500 and then pay the future taxes, and then it can be my property?
Not a bad question to ask me. Like, if he's behind on it.
I did, and they said that's not how it works. I was like, okay.
That doesn't get you the deed. You're just doing him a big favor.
Right. At some point, but it's like one of those, like, which is good. It's good that the way it's set up, it makes it really unadvantageous for the county to take that property in tax delinquency. I mean, like I said, he owns like, I think one of them was like $2,500. That was the smaller of the two. The other one owed a little bit more. But for like $2,500 in taxes, it's like a tenth of an acre lot in Mechanicsville with no building on it. It's not worth that much money. And I would assume it takes the county a significant sum to go through the process. I'm sure there's some potential legal stuff that they want to make sure they have funding in case they have to fight a legal fee, because it's like, you didn't pay the taxes, we took it. It's like, well, you didn't give me the right note. Like, I'm sure there's a potential lawsuit in play, even though they did it correctly. And so that's a potential cost that they don't want to pay for. And it's probably, I don't know, in this market, it might be a $200,000 piece of property because, of where we are in this market right now. But but like, to me, it's probably only like worth like $40,000. That'd be my guess. Tiny little lot. Probably doesn't have the proper hookups for the different utilities because it was a derelict for whatever.
Right.
And so it's like, the trustee's office has no desire to take it. And so this guy just sits on it. I mean, if anybody does try to buy it, they have to get they have to get taxes up to date. Whether it's the buyer or the seller, I'm not sure what the rules are on that. But if he were to sell it, I think if he were to sell it, there's probably a lien on it, and the county would take that money before he got it in the sale process. Or the buyer would have to get it up to date before he could get any permitting to build anything. And nobody wants to. Why would you buy it if you're not going to build something on it?
Yeah, you would think they have some kind of threshold that, like, once you get to a certain level, of taxes owed, then that property is even worth. The city is just like, well, you owe us more than it's even worth.
Right.
And I think by default, I think it's now ours because you owe us this much, and that's all it can be, reasonably appraised at.
Right. But I mean, I don't know, because it'd be an interesting conversation. Maybe I can see if I can talk Biggs into coming and talking about that and then sneak in some shit about him being a thief. But I don't want to talk about your stupid controversy stuff at all. I just want to talk about the process of you taking people's houses from them. That good wording? I think that'll go away. I think that'll
go over real well. And you preface it like that.
Yeah. People get me sometimes. Drug OD deaths are down. That's cool. They're not down to pre-pandemic levels, but they're down from last year.
I think I've seen a lot of major cities have seen a downward trend.
I wish that study had come out a little sooner, because I would like to. I'm curious what the I don't know what the word is, causal. If there's any causal that they think is there, whether it's like more meloxicillin or whatever in the availability of the antidote, whatever it's called,
right?
And so that being up, so people are still ODing in good numbers, but they're not dying from the overdose. They're getting saved through medical intervention. I'd be curious if what percentage of the loss of the drop in deaths they can attribute to that. Like, if it was 5 years ago, we didn't have as many of these out in the field. People are ODing and we couldn't save them. So is the number of ODs still up there, and we're just having less deaths because of the ODs, or are we having less ODs, period? And if we're having less ODs, period, why do we think that is happening? Do we think that, because like I'm very curious on a lot of levels, because like to me, like I think most ODs are what we call death of despair. That's a standard term, and it's like, why is everybody in such despair?
I think I've heard as far as like fentanyl goes, the supply has gone down. As far as I think they've had like less and less seizures. I'd like to think at some level there's a realization of how bad it's been. Enough people have seen, I think for people close to them that have either OD'd or come really close to OD, and they're like, I really got to clean my life up. I think there's been a push in a lot of major cities for more kind of like recovery and rehabilitation.
Right, but I think there has been a normalization of testing your shit. You can go to most drugstores and get like a fentanyl test kit.
Really?
Where you can like literally like, I don't know how it works, but you could take your Coke that you bought from your guy and put it in this thing, and it'll tell you if there's any fentanyl in it. Which that's a good. I mean,
Right.
I mean, it's if you're gonna do Coke, you probably want to do Coke without fentanyl in it. So, I mean, it sucks that you have to go through an extra step to make sure your Coke's not killing you. But I would say that I would be curious what the numbers, like how many, like if there's any data on how many of these kits are getting sold and used. Because that could attribute to a ton of them too, and that means you have it's not that the people's want to get fucked up is gone. It's people's want to safely get fucked up.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that I think is an interesting political grapple. It's like, how do we grapple with the idea that people want to get fucked up? Because we're not good at how we grapple with alcohol, but that's the one we let people do. But, I don't know. My take in general, it's like, if I want to get fucked up and I'm not hurting anybody else, what's the matter?
All right.
I think that's I don't know. I think that's fair. Tornado watch.
Yippee.
So. Oh, yawn. Excuse me. Yeah, that's about the important stuff I wanted to cover.
Did see a story. I don't remember where I saw it, but I think there's been a bill introduced in the House of Representatives, the
State House,
the federal House, for like national vouchers. I was like, oh goodness. They said they could kind of like push states that have already been trying to push back against vouchers. They can almost kind of like push them more into it.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. Jennifer, this is for you. We can argue about this while you're racing your derby car. If you want to listen to the podcast while you're racing your derby car and get real mad. I believe that the evidence shows that the general population does not care about the education of our children. I believe that is fact. I believe there's evidence to show that fact, at least in Tennessee, at least locally. Like, it's literally a loud minority that is pissed off about schools. because we're not voting to change these things. It's not a threat. Like there's a handful of people in the state house when they voted for this voucher bill in the special session this year that got some carve outs, and there were some specific ones. Like I think Ryan was right in talking about the whole, saving face for some of the House members on being like, hey, I got this because I want to get you guys some cash for your teachers now, right? That whole the blood money thing that we keep joking about.
Yeah.
Like that got carved into there because there was that guy or a couple of people that had that concern, or that was a sales thing for them as a way to get it done. It seems to me, at least, historically, in the recent history, that the vouchers were a thing that everybody knew was coming, and they still voted for these people to win. And if you're going to tell me you care about schools and then vote for Elaine Davis, who is very openly pro-voucher, then I'm confused. Please help me understand your voting choice.
Well, how much of we'll keep it to voting populace, really had an idea that vouchers were coming? I know it's been a talking point that, everyone knew this was coming. But I
mean, from the tiny percentage of the population who bothers voting, I'm sure that they recall Bill Lee trying to sneak it in late last year. Do you remember that?
Yeah, at the very end of the session. But
right.
I mean, how many races have we had since?
Just one,
which was probably
right at
maybe half of the.
But it was right after that
state house.
But it was literally right after that. Elaine Davis won her election right after voting for a voucher bill.
All right.
She literally voted for it. I'm pretty sure. Somebody double check me. almostagreement@gmail.com. But I'm pretty sure she voted for it. I don't know. I don't know if it got. I don't know what committee if she's in any of the committees. I don't know if it ever got out of committee. But I'm pretty sure she said she planned on voting for it. I'm pretty sure she ran while running, talking about she's going to vote for a voucher bill. So even if they didn't notice that it happened in session, she said it in her campaign.
Right, but she's in a pretty safe district.
Not really. I mean, there was a lot of murmurs that 18 wasn't that safe of a district for the Republicans. Turns out it was. But there was a lot of murmurs at the time. Like, I thought so. I mean, I think 18 is a lot more purple than it voted, at least. We've got inside District 18 is District 4 in the County Commission and School Board, both Democrats. And then some of the other little sub-precincts of District 18. I mean, some of the South Knoxville stuff is very right. That's all Republicans. They voted for Andy Fox, and that guy's fucking crazy. But... it's not over. Like, some of it is definitely some of 18 is a very safe district, but I don't think 18 as a whole is that safe. This neighborhood, West Knoxville in general, where 18 is in West Knoxville, has been trending left substantially over the last couple of years. Now, that's offset by a South Knoxville that's been hard right for a long time. But it's still percentages trimmed off. And so I don't think 18 was really as safe as it ended up being, I guess, for lack of a better word. I don't know what it was about the swimmer guy that District 18 voters really didn't like. I thought he had a pretty good I thought he's a Democrat, so I wasn't like super into him, but like, I think he was a good, solid candidate. He was a smart guy. He was well read. He was attractive. Like, he seemed to know what he was talking about. Stayed pretty much on point. I thought he was the best. He's the best candidate that I've met that ran for District 18 as a Democrat.
Right.
Virginia Couch, she was pretty cool. She just didn't have I don't know. There's something missing. Eddie Manis, whatever. But Jane George, who's running for city District 2, I think.
And was it Matthew Park that was out of South Knoxville?
Yeah, that was a city race. Was it city at large that we talked to him in? I don't remember what he was running for when we talked to him. He's got one of my favorite follows on Facebook. If you want to feel bad about your boring life, follow Matthew Park on Facebook. He's flying planes and jumping out of them all the time. I think he was one of the parachuters on opening night at the baseball stadium.
Really?
I think, or he was part of the team that did it. I don't exactly know. But he definitely had some like pictures of on the plane and in the air, like falling out of the sky kind of shit. Maybe he was sharing them because it was one of his buddies. I'm not 100%. But where did we start that? My point was, you started that.
Oh, you were talking about South Knoxville trending right, and I was trying to think of other kind of
like near South Knoxville, like right across the river is a little bit less, but like way south is very right. That started with me on my rant about how if you are a Knox County resident that says you care about schools, you're not voting like you do. So what do you want me to do? Because this started with you talking about a national vouchers or whatever, and it's like I don't know how that works with the taxes, and I don't know how much gets spent on. So I can get a voucher. I get a voucher from the state to go to a private school, and then I get a voucher from the federal government on what the federal government would have spent on because as far as I know, like most of the federal money goes directly to schools for particular things. And it's usually like it's either grant related or special ed. So maybe you can get a state voucher for your special ed student and then get a federal voucher for your special ed student. Okay. That doesn't seem like a bad thing to me.
I haven't seen any of the wording of it.
I don't think any federal education dollars go directly to schools because of the student population. They may go to schools that are like underperforming, but they usually go to schools in either grants or special ed funds. That's my understanding of it.
Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just I don't know. Again, like to me, I think if you could get the truth serum that doesn't exist out there into people's bodies and say, what do you think the actual solution to school is? I think a lot more people I think a lot of people would say, stop taking my money and let me educate my own kids. Let me choose how to educate my kids with my own money instead of taking my money from me. That's how people act. I mean, that's how people vote, maybe is a better way to say it. People are voting like that's what they think. Okay, just a tiny bit more. Can't go crazy.
I like to think that there's still enough people out there that see, even going back to the founders, I think it was Jefferson that was a big proponent of it, that public education should be free and available. I can understand the public good argument. I can. The problem I have with it that doesn't make any sense for the anti-voucher like super school nuts that are out there is the argument is always the state is the best one to do it, and it's like I agree with that, but you have to agree with what the state believes. That's just the reality. We are in Tennessee. We are a hard right state. There's no argument there. There's no discussion there. That is how it is. Our population votes that way. So if you want public schools to be the ones that are doing the job, then you have to be okay with the ideology that the state is putting into your kids. The problem is, well, I guess the good side is if you're a right-leaning person, then you're cool with that. If you're a left-leaning person, you're stuck with what you get. But then let's go to California or New York or one of these left-leaning states and see how good the Republican-leaning people feel about their kids being educated in these liberal schools. That's the problem with the education argument, is that I agree that, like, functionally it makes the most sense. The state has the funds and ability to do it. But there is no planet on which a state-funded institution is going to be nonpartisan, for lack of a better word. It's the same thing as like the redistricting conversation we've had 1,000 times. That's the same as the education argument. Like, I agree with your thought process. I think it is the correct idea, but practically speaking, it just won't work. No, having a nonpartisan,
right? It just won't work.
Dividing board.
How do you feel? How do you fill a body of nonpartisan people to redraw district lines? Well, first, how do you change the law to make that the way we do district lines? It has to be a partisan game to get there. If we could somehow get there, how do we field it? Like, where do we get the people? Like, is it jury duty? Everybody has to do it every couple of years?
Just take it up like, well, they kind of doing jury duty, a way of like kind of questioning out any kind of bias.
Right. But I mean, I don't know. Like, there's there's a lot of stupid people. You want a bunch of stupid people? Like what? Like how would a stupid people approach? How would a stupid person approach that question? We have 1 million people in this section in this area. Like I would think a stupid person would take the simplest, most logical way to go about it. But we have 1 million people. We got to split it up into groups of 200,000. How do we do it? What would a group of dumbasses do? I don't know. Like I really don't know. Would it be better than what we have? Maybe. Would it be worse? Probably not. It couldn't be much worse.
I agree. It's hard to kind of whittle out and truly find people that are truly independent.
Right, but so not that but take that same thought process into the schools. It's not that I don't think schools should exist, and it's not that I don't think X, Y, or Z. It's none of that. But you have to accept the premise that the political body created it, and controls it. And so, how do you have a political body oversee a separate body in a nonpartisan fashion, in a non-politics fashion? Partisan maybe not even the right word. How do you have a an elected governing body oversee a department with the charge that department doesn't care about politics? It can't happen because the governor gets to appoint the state school board chair or whatever their title is. The Senate or House gets to approve these different people that get to work in the state education board or whatever, like however it works. At some point, the elected people get to choose something in the process, and they're going to choose it on politics. That's the problem I see in schools and in redistricting and you could probably apply this to almost everything. But as far as the big issues that people like to talk about, how do you subtract that? To me, the way to subtract that is to have a more vibrant and inclusive candidate pool. More people in the candidate pool that aren't getting just beat over their heads by the Duncan family. Again, Becky's my favorite person that I've ever dealt with in politics. Let me be clear. But, we're looking at 4th, 5th generation Duncan family in very prominent seats in politics. Like, I mean, hell, if I'm going to run for, if I truly want to throw my name in the ring for mayor of Knox County, I'm going to ask Becky. I'm going to talk to her about it, see what she thinks about it. Not so much ask what she can do for me, but maybe help point me in some directions of people that might be able to help me get there. Will she? I don't know. Because I certainly can't be a Republican, and I don't know. She's getting old enough. I don't think she cares. I think that's the one thing. That's probably why I like Becky. She doesn't give a shit about it anymore. She doesn't like the new Republicans, is my take on her. Let me be clear. She didn't say this. My take on her, she doesn't really like the direction the Republican Party's moving. And I think her take on it is she needs to keep that seat because she can. And that's a little bit of a pushback against the further right that the state is getting.
Yeah, very possible.
But she did vote for vouchers. She also voted for my hemp ban. She also voted for my vape ban. They're not, I mean, she's not a Republican from my argument of what a Republican's supposed to be. That was funny. I had that meeting with Briggs and her earlier this week. And it was kind of adorable, but it's also kind of weird. They work together a lot. They're neighbors in districts, a bunch of their, I'm a constituent of Becky, but, I deal with Briggs on the certain issues, and she's helped me to get introduced to him and talk to him. So I sat down and had breakfast with him. And we're chatting about a bunch of different stuff. And they were like a little old married couple. It's kind of adorable, even though they're absolutely
they start finishing each other's sentences.
No, but he ordered something. I just had an orange juice. Me and Becky had orange juice. He had a coffee, the whatever their special was, which is some sort of omelet. And he asked for a English muffin, which in the back of my head, I was like, tea-sucking bastard. Get out of here with that shit. I didn't say it. It's just one of those things that crossed my mind. Right. But then his food comes out, and they brought him a biscuit. And she's like, hey, he got a... So Becky kept correcting, getting the server to get him the right food. And so I was like, oh, that's cute. That's my wife does that for me, too.
Yeah. He's like, no, it's fine. She's like, no, you need to get what you ordered.
I mean, well, she ended up eating the biscuit, so maybe that was her play there. She wanted that. She was like, that biscuit looks good.
Yeah.
I'm going to get them to get him his English muffin. And then, But he was fun. It was interesting. It was nice to talk to him. It was nice to talk to him in person, not have the stupid Zoom failures that we had last time I talked to him. He has a what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't think he means it in a demeaning way, but he has a little bit of a demeaning tone to him. The phrase "what you've got to understand" came out of his mouth like 4 times at me. Which again, in the back of my head, I'm going, you mean what I already do understand? Like, I understand. I understand. You don't need to tell me what I need to understand because I already understand.
It's maybe what you need to understand from his perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. And then he started going off about the guy that ran against him last time, who was like a full-on, like, super libertarian, like hardcore anarcho-capitalist libertarian.
Yeah.
Which his complaint was like, the guy that ran against me last time would make heroin legal. It's like, I would too. I mean, I would too. But and actually, maybe Becky was acting like my wife too, as an old couple, because she was actually like she's like, he fancies himself a libertarian. I was like, look, man, I mean, I'll get into it with you, but it's not the point here. I had a specific here. It's like, I can get into the arguments of libertarianism with anybody, but that wasn't the point. But at the same time, if you're basically he was framing the guy that ran against him as a psycho, like as crazy, because he thinks heroin should be legal. And it's like, well, then you think I'm crazy. And so if you're going to, what you should understand is, to me, about a thing, and then tell me that a belief that I hold to be true is crazy, I'm a little lost for how I'm supposed to continue to communicate here.
Well, I don't know. On the flip side, would you think it's crazy that he wants to keep it outlawed or whatever?
I mean, no, I don't think it's crazy at all in the current state of things. I think it's normal for as far as what the world is that we live in now. I mean, I think it's a little crazy that on your way here you stopped at the liquor store and bought some shit, and you couldn't buy a different version of something. Like, again, going back, we were joking about earlier. It's like something about us as a species, or maybe the society that we live in, we feel the need to get fucked up every once in a while. Like, I think for a lot of people it's a need. Like, I mean, do you think that's a fair assessment? Whether it's alcohol or other drugs?
I mean, I'm reticent to call it a need. For some, I think they do kind of perceive it that way.
I mean, there's a threshold in alcoholism when you use that word need that I don't mean to get to here. That's not what I'm trying to say.
I mean, like with drugs as well. I mean,
but I mean,
we know someone that claimed that they would go off on customers if they weren't able to imbibe.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's more of a mental state of like, okay, if you can't take some deep breaths and calm yourself down, and
maybe
you're
a better
just
way
to flip your shit.
Maybe a better way to kind of phrase what I was trying to get there is like, I think there is a need for some escapism in the human condition that we need to escape. Some people do that by going off in the woods for a weekend and not talking to anybody and just being alone in the woods for a while.
Right.
Some people like to drive. They'll get in their car and just drive 100 miles just because that's how they clear their head and stuff like that. I think we as a species need some of that escapism. And one of the easy, simple ones that we like to use is alcohol.
Sure.
Because we're allowed to.
That's readily available.
Right. And we're allowed to. Whereas, like there are people out there who use marijuana similarly. There's people out there who use heroin similarly. There are people that are around there that use those things in excess and hurt themselves or others.
Right.
But the argument for me on the heroin thing, it's like, well, there are people out there that can use it responsibly. Why do they lose their ability to use something because other people aren't responsible with themselves? Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I understand that the mathematics say, well, a higher percentage of people that become regular heroin users become problems, kill themselves, kill other people, hurt themselves, hurt other people, either driving under the influence or whatever it is. And so that's where we got to where we are. It's like, okay, I can understand that and somewhat respect it, but it's not just it's fucking crazy. It's like, no, it's not. It's really not. I mean, hell, we still use cocaine for eye surgery to this day. Like, cocaine is one of the ones that makes, like, marijuana and cocaine are the two top drugs that make the least sense of being illegal to me. Like, cocaine in moderation, a lot of people have a great time on it. Don't do anything wrong. Maybe scratch their chest a little bit and come up with some crazy ideas, but mostly they just talk fast and get a little weird for a little while and come back down and they're fine. Now, Stevie Nicks does enough that her fucking nose falls off her face. That's a problem. Although, she could afford it and didn't hurt anybody else, as far as I know, in her cocaine addiction. I mean, it did ruin Fleetwood Mac, one of the greatest bands of all time. Charlie Murphy will tell you from what's his name, the bass player. I'm just blanked out.
Oh, Rick James.
Rick James. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. And so again, I wouldn't waste my time to advocate for the legalization of those things. That would not be something I would do in a political sense. But as far as a core philosophical belief, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me that caffeine and sugar, what's the number one killer of kids? Not kids, Americans. It's heart disease, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's just usually a byproduct of our terrible eating habits.
For the most part, yeah.
I don't know. It seems like we but there's apparently an ungodly amount of lead in Lunchables.
I was seeing something about that. It was just a couple particular ones.
And it's we have companies that are out there making food for our kids that are designed and focused on selling to our kids.
Right.
That are chock full of lead.
I think some of that, there's all sorts of levels in that, and with the FDA as far as what's allowed, certain levels allowed in certain right. products. But I'd say with the Lunchables thing, it's when we did the math on that, we weren't thinking that a kid was going to eat, 2 Lunchables a day, right?
Right, 3 a day for every day.
Right.
They were going to eat maybe...
we thought maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then,
sure.
over 10 years, that's a negligible amount of lead, that your body would process out, et cetera.
Right.
But many things in excess.
Sure. But, again, it's that's the incongruency in the conversation to me. It's we have all these things are out here that are fucking killing us every day, and we can go get them all we want. It's not that big a deal. Our kids can go buy them on their own. My kid could, my 15-year-old can walk into a store right now and buy a Red Bull. I think that's a problem. Do I want to ban Red Bull from the market? Nah. Do I want to make it age restricted? Not really. But it's also I can't go buy a joint and smoke a joint in my house by myself with nobody else around, or with you, or with my wife, or whatever. I can't just chill and smoke a joint. But my kid can walk into some place and buy a Red Bull, and that's cool. I don't think that's cool.
They can buy as many Red Bulls as they got.
I think that's a problem. I truly do. It's incongruent is my point. It's not that one is a problem and the other isn't. It's that it's incongruent. If the point is we're going to take substances out that are bad for people, whether it's mentally or physically, then let's pick a side here. This pick and choose game doesn't make any sense. It's the same thing with my age argument.
Well, I think on some of those, say the government is reticent to put limits on it, then it's more they try to educate and encourage of hey,
I'm good with that. I like the idea of
do you know how much caffeine's in a Red Bull?
Let's have a Surgeon General that's actually a doctor, which we don't have anymore.
Yeah.
She lost her. Well, she didn't lose her license. She just didn't renew it.
I hadn't heard the full story.
Yeah, my understanding of it, at least, is she just didn't she quit working in the hospital that she was at because of all the weirdness of the politics that is medicine, which is probably not completely crazy, and then got into podcasting and shit like that, and became an influencer, and then just let her medical license lapse, and now she's the Surgeon General of the United States, which is a problem.
Interim. I don't think she's been approved yet. We'll see how well that goes.
Yeah.
I think there was somebody else they appointed to be interim, and they didn't last at all. And then I think she got picked to be the interim.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
I was trying to I don't throw a lot of stabs at Trump, so I try to throw a stab at Trump, and we got all mucked down in the details. Trump's an idiot. Not the best choice for our Surgeon General.
He's had a few picks that are questionable.
Yeah, and then Bobby Kennedy's doing his thing. We'll see. Again, I don't know.
Actually, I think he was supposed to be the one picking it, because I think he was the one that picked the woman you're speaking of, or at least maybe had suggested it to Trump.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the process of that goes, but my point is that if we're gonna bother with a system that's supposed to, instead of making choices for us, help us make choices. I think there's a fine line between those two things, but I think that makes more sense to me. If we had a government that actually gave a shit about us and was hey, I don't care that General Mills just gave us $10 billion in campaign contributions across our party lines or whatever, but this Cinnamon Toast Crunch is just a sugar and carbs and milk. It's not really good for you to eat a lot of.
Right.
If that's what we did, Okay, I think I could get on board with that. That makes sense. Don't say you're not.
I mean, that's part of some of the money that goes to the schools is for that kind of like, educational aspect
from the federal government,
state and federal.
I mean,
I'd say there's probably some federal funds that are sent to.
I would like to see more stuff on that in the schools for sure. Like this. Obama's the Obama family and all my complaints about them, or whatever. Like, I don't think it was the worst idea to I think it's a hard ship to sail when you're going to start not allowing certain things in the cafeterias with no real body around it. But the Michelle's thing was supposed to be kind of like we're going to get better food for the kids in school, better for them. I don't know how much other than we're not letting them do X anymore, and we're going to teach them stuff happened. It seemed like my understanding of it is a lot of the stuff that they just wanted it out of the cafeterias is what did happen, but they didn't go along with the whole education and thing with it, which was her original plan.
All right. Now, I want to say they may have done some kind of requirement of like it had to be, what it was served, like at least, one fruit, 2 vegetables, etc.
Yeah.
And maybe some kind of certain level of sodium or saturated fats.
Yeah. Which that's cool. I mean, that's all great and all. It's if you're not going to fund the fucking school system to be able to afford those foods,
right?
How are you going to do it anyway? But
maybe that's even like some like the posters, that would be up in the lunchroom. Some of those are probably some kind of state or federal kind of like ad campaign.
Sure. But again, like it's like I don't know. I guess like this is all boiling into the same premise to me. It's like I don't want my government to make decisions for me, but I'm okay with them helping me make decisions.
Well, I think it's complicated in the fact that, like you said, you have these major food corporations that are, mega corporations that
I think they're, and I think right. I think I think that's the reality. The reality is the inevitable the inevitable over time is going to be that people whom are not elected have influence over the people that are.
Well, that, and then the food manufacturers can also kind of lean on the fact that, like, oh, well, if people didn't want them, they wouldn't be buying it.
Sure, and that's fine.
But then you go to the certain kind of like the quote unquote kind of food deserts. When you look at the food that's available, 80% of that is all pretty much like really poorly nutritious food.
But I get it. Like I think, right. But it's like I don't know. Right. The demand is its own issue. I agree with that. But the demand, like if the education is there, then the demand can be fixed.
Well, the education's there, but I mean, it's human nature that kind of salty and sweet foods are like desired by people. I'm like, no, it may be bad for me, but damn, it tastes good.
It's true, but I think the affordability is an issue. Which again, like we subsidize a gajillion dollars a year in farmers, but somehow we don't get good food out of it, which seems kind of counterintuitive to me. I don't know. We got a weird tangent here. I'm not mad at it. I'm just scattered on a whole bunch of different ideas at once.
Yeah.
I get but the point being, I think, is that I disagree with the idea of saying you cannot do this as an individual. I think my choice is my choice, and I should be able to make that choice. I should pay the consequences for such choice. That's why I tend to be more theoretically a Republican if Republicans are Republicans than not, because that's theoretically what Republicans say they care about. That's not what they do, because my number one issue right now is I'm fighting 2 Republicans on bills that passed, which add taxes and add regulation, which is essentially telling me what I can and can't do. That's what that's designed to do. It's, you can't do that, or if you do want to do it, you have to pay extra for it.
Right.
And if you do want to do it, you have to go through a bunch of loopholes to get there. Or not a bunch of loopholes, but you have to go through a bunch of hoops to be able to have access to it. Which is why that's why I'm an absolute 1,000% anti-medical. Like, I don't know, if we're going to have weed in the state, then we're going to have weed in the state. Don't make me have to go ask somebody else if I can have permission to. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, most states that have gone medical, I think, have eventually gone recreational.
Well, because I mean, half of the one, like most of them, when they do go medical, these little pop up whatever show up, and it's like,
little pain clinics or whatever.
Your back hurts?
Right.
Here's your card. You stubbed your toe this morning? Here's your card. You're a little anxious about stuff? Here's your card.
Right.
Like, and so they're just selling prescriptions to weed anyway. And it's like, what good does that do?
Oh, that's what a lot of the pain clinics and many of doctors were doing the same thing.
Right, with all the opioids. That's what the Oxy thing was. That's why Food City is still paying the state of Tennessee for their that Oxy sales thing.
Yeah.
But they bought a stadium in UT, and that probably is helping them kind of fight that back. The state's probably backing off a little bit on how much they're taking out on them. So, if you see again, but I don't know, I don't really understand why Food City got sued in the first place. Doesn't really make sense to me. You went to this pain clinic that you knew that was basically just you're doing a little dance so you can get your drugs. That's essentially what's happening. That's what a lot of these little pain clinics were doing. It's like,
yeah, I think so.
Come in and tell me some things, and I'm going to give you a prescription.
All right.
It's not whether I think you need it or not. It's that you told me you want it, and I'm going to get it for you.
I mean, I would guess it's under. I mean, the pharmacist does have a medical license. The general premise is, do no harm. And if you're being negligent and not, keeping any kind of track, and I'm assuming it was essentially overprescribing, to where I think they were able to point out of like everyone's filling the prescription.
But I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like the doctor said this person needs this. I filled the prescription. How's that my fault?
Right, but I think they were they were either going from maybe one Food City to the next, so it was either on Food City's poor management of their data to not see that this person was at a different Food City 2 days ago getting the same 50 pills of whatever.
Going back to still going back to the core conversation we're having right now, it's like that doesn't make any sense to me. Why can't I just go buy some oxys?
That's controlled substance.
Right, but the core conversation being why do we need controlled substances? Blah blah blah. That's not. I don't know. Whatever. Figure it out, Food City. Buy sponsor HOLLEROO next year.
I'm just guessing that's what they got.
Sponsor HOLLEROO next year, and I'll stop complaining about you.
I'm assuming that's one of the few things I could think of that the state could go after them for.
It seems weird. It seems weird that filling the prescription that you were given by the patient from the doctor could get you in trouble. Like that just seems kind of weird to me. Like
I think you're still kind of putting your name on it, at least as the one that's.
I mean, as long as what's in the bottle
dosing it out,
right? But as long as what's in the bottle is what you say is in the bottle, I think you should be pretty safe. Because unless you're taking a prescription that says 1 refill and giving somebody 6, because then you're selling it,
right?
At that point, because you're not filling a prescription anymore.
Or that, or if they weren't making the phone calls to make sure it was a legitimate prescription. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know at least for some of those,
I'm sure there's some stuff on the books where they have to go through.
Yeah, at least for some of those, like high dose, like morphine, because you can get. I had a friend's mom who had, I believe it was some sort of cancer, and she actually had like the fentanyl patches she would put on, and it just like slowly comes into your skin.
Dermal.
Yeah, it's like a dermal patch, basically. Yeah,
dermal something.
Dermal transference. I don't know.
Whatever. It's interesting. Fun stuff. I like it. I like all.
But I mean, something like that is. Because there's some people that were like, basically poking holes in that because I think it's like a jelly inside.
Right.
And we're basically just like drinking it or whatever and getting super effed up. And it's kind of one of those controlled substances that, the state or the federal government has said, like, hey, this is really dangerous. We're going to put tighter controls on this. You can only do one refill only. You can't be like, all right, you can refill this prescription up to 5 times or whatever before you've got to go back to the doctor and have the doctor be like, okay, yes, you do still need this for whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdism in that whole subset. It'd be fun to talk to a pharmacist. Come in anonymously, have a pharmacist, because I'm sure there's on anything that's on that list, the paperwork that they have to do. I can tell a story from personal. Adderall is one of those that they're super, they're super like.
Right. I mean, it's in the family of amphetamine, I believe.
And so we had gone. The missus has got a prescription. She's had it for a while for OCD, ADD, whatever. And we went and filled the prescription for it, and they're supposed to be a 30 pill fill up or a 60 pill fill up, and then they put like 20 in the bottle. I don't remember what the specifics are, but basically they put like a third of what they were supposed to in the bottle. And a couple days later, she realizes that she's like, I'm missing like 20 pills. Freaking out. Like, did the kids steal them? Are they selling with their friends? What's going on here?
Right.
freaking out. And it's like, because it's a controlled substance and they make you feel weird about asking questions about it, because then you all of a sudden sound like you're seeking pills.
Was the bottle labeled as having
20
20 more than what was in there?
Or whatever. Yeah, it was like, it said 60, we got 20, or it was labeled 30, we got 10. I don't remember what it was.
Right.
And so I went in there. It happened to be a Sunday, which the regular pharmacist went there on a Sunday. And I was like, hey, we're missing a bunch of pills. Is there any way you didn't fill the bottle up correctly? And it's the weekend guy, and he just kind of gave me some fucking shrug off bullshit. He's like, well, I can check the paperwork tomorrow or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I came back tomorrow to follow up on it, and the regular pharmacist there, she's like, that was you guys? I was like, I guess. She's like, yeah, we had 20 more than we were supposed to in the safe. Here you go.
Right.
It's like, could have called somebody? We were freaking out all fucking weekend. 'Cause that's a big deal. That's 10 days of no medicine.
I guess they just kind of hope that somebody figured it out, because they may have filled 10 different prescriptions and they can't really know.
But it's one of those it's one of those that I get really I don't care per se, but it still tingles in the back of my ear, just this little tingle back here when I go in there. Hey, I need to get some more of those fun drugs for my wife. It always feels weird. And I've gotten responses that made me feel weird about timing of stuff. We had another one recently where it was it's over the weekend stuff where you only get 30 days.
All right.
That's all they'll give you. And it's she's been on the same dosage of it for a decade. But 30 days, the day 30 is a Sunday. And it's well, the doctor's office says 24 hours beforehand you call it in and then they'll release it. It's well, 24 hours prior is Saturday when you're not there. So we call Friday. That Friday happened to be a Friday that the doctor was off. And that doctor has to be the one to release the prescription. And so we're well, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, I think somebody else would take over their duties on a day off.
Right. So it was a real weird, we've had a bunch of these real weird isms, but it's also, we're going between the doctor and the pharmacist and how many refills were on the original prescription, because it's regular. We don't remember, it's but I mean, even if there are no refills, it's 0 refills. It's that each, at the end of the period, the doctor's office will automatically send it. But we have to request it. It's a whole big weird thing. But I go in there and it's day 28 of 30, and I'm like, hey, we're going to run out on Sunday. Doctor's off today. What are we supposed to do?
All right.
And very often I get the feeling from the techs and the pharmacist that what are you, a fucking junkie? That's the feeling I get. Maybe I'm paranoid, but I don't think that's it's not me. So it's I'm not the one.
I'm sure they've had some training to at least keep an eye out for it.
Well, I guarantee they have.
Right.
There's no question that they have, but it's I don't like feeling like I'm a fucking junkie when I'm not. A, I'm not. B, my wife isn't.
Right.
And it's just literally, I'm out running errands. This is one of the things that's on my list of shit to do today. But then I feel like a junkie when I'm walking out of there. And it bothers me a lot. But there's no solution in play.
No, don't feel like a junkie because you're not. So stop feeling like it.
Well,
don't make yourself the victim in this.
I get treated like a junkie.
I mean, do they look at you cross?
Yeah,
or they think it's their tone.
Well, so the most recent one is one, the pharmacy tech just misspoke and whatever. I don't really, but I go in there and I call the doctor's office and I go back into the pharmacy. I'm like, well, I'm really screwed up on this. Because if you're telling me we can't pick up for 2 more days, then we're missing 3 pills. And that's a big deal.
All right.
Because if we're missing them and we didn't take them, then maybe one of the kids took them. And then we start going down that rabbit hole freaking out about stuff. And I'm going back and forth with this pharmacist for 15 minutes until I realize, in her kind of explaining the process to me for the 50th fucking time, because I've done it a bunch of times with them, that the tech misspoke. But the whole time I'm in that customer argumentative mode because I'm trying to figure out how to get to the solution of what needs to happen here. And the whole time she's I'm the pharmacist and I don't give that shit out it's a big fucking deal, and anybody who's asking for it who doesn't need it yet is a junkie thing. I think that's the thing. That's the two mental frameworks that we were discussing things at. And I'm trying to stay cool and calm about it, but I'm getting a little frustrated because it's like, this doesn't make any sense. Help me understand what's going on here. And it's like, well, you get it on this day. And that's when I realized that the tech misspoke and said, well, you can pick it up on 29, and you should have 30 when you pick up your next 30. You should have your 30th day of meds left and be able to pick up on the 29th day.
All right. I don't know. Maybe they started picking up on your frustration, and it just kind of escalated both of you from there.
I mean, maybe, but it's
this
still
guy's
just
getting short with me. Like,
but it's better. But like at this point, it's the same pharmacist. And I've been in there a gajillion times and talked to her about it. It's like, why is this so fucking complicated? Like, I get it. I understand this is controlled substance. I understand that you have a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of rules on how you're allowed to deal with it. All I want to do is make sure my wife has her medicine. That's all I want to do.
right.
But it seems like inevitably every 2 months or so, there is some hiccup somewhere, whether the doctor took the week off for vacation, which of course they should be able to do, or the timing gets weird because of the Saturday, Sunday stuff, or it's just like we are therefore forced to kind of live our lives around that schedule, because like if we go on vacation and that vacation is day 27, 28, 29, 31, 2, we're going without for 1 and 2, and we can't get it until we get back.
Right.
I guess there are some ways we could try to figure out how to get it filled at a pharmacy on where we're going, perhaps.
Should be able to. They just have to get called in there.
Why can't I just be like, hey, we're going out of town for a couple of days. Can I get days 1, 2, and 3? We'll be back on day 4. No, that's not an option.
Yeah, it probably has to be just 30-day supply.
Right. And it's like we literally have to build our lives around a medication schedule because of paperwork. And because, and more important, and maybe to the whole point of a lot of the different drug talk and alcohol and stuff talk that we've been doing, to the whole point is because some people abuse it. I have to change. I have to adjust my life to a certain way of things because some people abuse the thing that I need. It's like, well, that's kind of shitty. So you're so you're going to punish you're punishing everybody for the sins of some.
If you want to view it as a punishment, yeah.
I mean, it certainly is not easy, and it shouldn't be that difficult.
I mean, I'd say there were probably guardrails in place before people started abusing it. And maybe they've had to tighten the screw a little bit, but...
You used to be able to go just buy morphine from the guy in the corner and stuff like that, back in the old days.
Yeah.
As we figured out drugs.
You just go buy a Coca-Cola, it still had the cocaine in it.
Hell yeah. Back when Coca-Cola was good.
Yeah, I think in the teens, I think they did have like small little vials of like morphine and other things.
I mean, that's my favorite on Ghosts. Have you watched Ghosts at all? The American version?
No. It's
a fun little show. It's a BBC show that some CBS or whatever did a clone of.
Mm-hmm.
But the one of the characters, Hetty, is just the funniest. She's like she was a robber baron's wife, and he's a terrible guy, whatever, this whole thing. But she jokes all the time about like cocaine. They just did cocaine at parties. They drank it. It was a liquid cocaine that was, and historically it's normal for the time period and stuff like that. Yeah. That was a thing that people did back when you'd rent pineapples because you could, to show off your wealth. You couldn't afford to buy a pineapple, but people would rent you a pineapple to have in the middle of the table at your party that nobody would eat.
Huh, never heard about the renting of pineapple.
Yeah, it's a fun little silly history stuff that I know. All right, get your get ready, buddy, because we didn't make it a short show. We made it about a normal show. Oh shit, that's the wrong button. I can't undo it. Yeah, I can. Psych, I got you guys. What about that? All right, I did hit the wrong button twice.
All right. Cannes has made it official. No nudity on the red carpet. Cannes Festival. What?
That was... was there nudity prior?
I guess there was no official rule of it, possibly. I guess they have now made it a rule. I guess the red carpet is perhaps the most rigidly controlled red carpet in the world. Now the festival has added a new stipulation: no nudity.
Okay.
There's been on different, award shows. There's been some very scantily clad people, with sheer outfits, etc.
I mean, I've seen plenty of near nudities and stuff like that in red carpets and stuff.
So I guess they decided to go ahead and make it official. They're like, hey, I'm just going to stop this.
No, but I mean, does that count as nudity if you're wearing a sheer top? But I mean, you can see all the goods underneath, but you're not naked. You got a shirt on.
I mean, that's borderline. I mean, I would think, depending on the jurisdiction, you may still get some kind of ticket for public indecency.
Maybe.
So like you said, if you can see all the goods, you're not really hiding anything or covering up anything.
I'm saying, but I mean, it's private rules. I don't know. There's no arbitrator of the private rules anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
I mean, it's their festival. I'm assuming they're renting out the space.
They can do what they want.
Exactly.
I'm good with it. Way to go.
Here, while it was never previously endorsed at the festival, it updated its dress policy on the eve of it's the 78th edition to read, nudity is prohibited on the red carpet as well as in any other area of the festival. Well,
is it like are they like prized for their nude beaches in that nearby there or whatever?
That's a nude beach. That's actually
I'm just saying,
it's
like,
designated area.
Isn't that part of the locale though? Like that nudity is normal there?
I mean, I don't know specifically. They've probably got a handful of beaches. It's not like every single public beach allows nudity. It's usually certain areas of the beach that you're allowed to be. I think mainly it's topless, but you may be able to be topless and bottomless. I'm not sure.
It just seems like a weird. I don't know. It seems like a weird thing you need to say out loud. A, but B, it's like
Well, I mean, it's a very prestigious film festival.
I don't know. Is it like?
Cannes? Fuck yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen.
It's like one of the tops.
Can you name the Cannes Film Festival winner movie that I might have seen?
Not off the top of my head, but I'm not a film buff.
I feel like it is. I mean, I acknowledge that like film festivals exist and they're cool, and for people that are really into like, because some of them are genres, some of them are just general, whatever. But like, I don't understand. Like, every once in a while you'll see one that like it won this. It was a runner up at this. It was a runner up at that, and here's it is. Like, and it's now released in U.S. theaters. Like, that's cool. Like, everybody makes a big deal about getting their movie into the Cannes Film Festival, and I guess for some producers and stuff, that gets it out of trying to self-produce it and get it and self-distribute, and then like one of the big players will pick them up, and then they get it.
I think it's one place, where kind of like you're mentioning that independent films are able to kind of get more eyes on it, to where they can get more.
So putting your actress on the red carpet in the nude is going to help you get more attention, which is going to increase your likelihood. So
not necessarily can bring good publicity and bad publicity, but hopefully the people that are voting on it aren't voting on the content of the movie, and they're basing it more on the attractiveness of the lead stars or whatever.
I don't know what the rules are. I don't know how you.
I'm assuming the film needs to be judged on its own film merits, not
I respect the premise that film is art, or film can be art, but it can also be just time, and I don't know. It's random. It's funny. It's interesting.
Tom Cruise was just there because I think it's going on like this week or last week.
Yeah, that's why it's in the headlines. Because it's the coolness. All right, man. You got one more? Or are you gonna be done with that?
Nah, let's be done with it.
Let's be done with that. That's the show, everybody. It was good to see everybody at HOLLEROO. Thanks for coming. Oh my God, I'm tired. It just hit me like real hard. Almost Agreement, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com, go there. Check out all the cool stuff we got. If you listen to this right at release time, you still got time to get down and watch the Soapbox Derby and this rock and roll show that we've got going on. HOLLEROO 25 is happening right now. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to your favorite podcast writer. We're all there. Check out what we got going on. We'll be back maybe with a guest next week. I'll be able to calm down. I'll probably be a little bit more chill next week than I am right now. So anyway, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for listening.